Grouping and ungrouping shapes is essential, especially if you are going to build more complicated and complex structures in Tinkercad. Here I have one of the shapes I left off with in one of the previous videos where we talked a little bit about grouping and ungrouping, but now we're going to just focus on how to group and ungroup shapes using the tool menu up above. So here I have two hollowed cubes that I have already grouped. So I'm going to go ahead and select them. And right now they're grouped. I'm going to ungroup them just to kind of show you what those two structures are and remind you from the previous video what they are. So here I have two structures that I've ungrouped. Now once I slide them next to each other wherever I want them, resize them however I want, I can then just simply highlight both structures that I want to be grouped and choose this group button. Now if you look at this button up here, it's intuitive. I'm sorry, the symbol is intuitive because you can see how there's no separate shapes here. In this symbol here, they're two separate shapes, so that means it's going to ungroup them. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is go ahead and group them, and now they're just one solid shape. And the nice thing about that is once I get my structure exactly how I want it, if I were to have these ungrouped and then try to move one and then the other, it becomes very tedious and not an enjoyable experience, we'll just say. So by leaving them grouped and being able to manipulate and move them around, I'm able to be more creative and do more things without the worry of accidentally screwing up my sizing and my structure that I just took 20 minutes to size and shape. Now speaking of sizing and shaping and talking about the work plane as a whole, we can always change our grid. So right now, if I wanted to edit my grid, it is 200 millimeters across. I could change this to inches. And sometimes you want to work in an American Standard system because you're making something for an American or a foot or an inch measurement system. A good example of that is I had to make an air filter for an old chainsaw I had, and so I switched my grid plane to inches because I was going to measure and make those parts in inches. Now it will automatically go to default, and you don't need to worry about the presets. I have a MakerBot, and so I would have chosen this MakerBot Replicator 2, but for right now I'm just going to leave it on the default. The default is pretty synonymous with most 3D printers. The width and the height in this case is going to be 7.87, which is equivalent to that millimeter unit that we saw previously. I'm just going to go ahead and update the grid, and that way we're in inches, and for some people inches is easier to understand. Now, the other thing to notice is that the snap grid can change in many different sizes. If I'm making a very small part, I would go down to 1/64 inch if I wanted to make very small changes and have every little time I drug my mouse to the next click have to be 1/64 of an inch. I have found that right around 1/16 is a good unit of measurement. That's what most tape measures go down to, and so I find that's a good one in class, especially if you're having kids measure in inches at home. But let's go back to grouping and ungrouping these structures. I'm going to go ahead and make a little larger home. Let's pretend that this is two rooms. Let's pretend this is a living room and this is a bedroom. And let's say I just wanted to copy and paste that structure and make a little bigger home in my model. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate these. Oop, not that much. Because I want to have, let's say, a bedroom come out into, or a bathroom. Let's pretend that's a bathroom, come out into a kitchen. And this is a bedroom, and this is, let's say, in this case, be a great, like a living room. So we have like a 1-bedroom, maybe even a 2-bedroom. We could add another bathroom in here if we wanted to. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's be a little more complicated than that, just to really show you what this might look like. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and paste another one in. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and do it like that. And we're going to pretend that this is, let's say, I have here my kitchen. I have my master bedroom with an ensuite with a shared bathroom to here. I'd have to punch a door in there. We aren't going to get into that in this tutorial, but once I get my floor plan laid out, I'm going to want to select everything and combine it. And that way, if I want to move it around, I can. You can always ungroup it and adjust each room individually if you want. But for right now, that's just one very useful tool to create, in this case, a fast floor plan. And we did that just with starting off with just one square or one cube, right? And then combine that with another, resizing one. And in the end, you can make very complicated structures out of just very simple shapes. If I wanted to top this off, I could drop a roof on and size that roof to be the right size. And in that case, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up to where it would be. And right now, this is why they call it Tinkercad. I am tinkering, right? And in front of your eyes, I'm able to just sit here and quickly make a home, raise the roof. There we go. And we're able to now have a home where if you looked underneath and you actually looked at the house, you can see how kids would really be drawn into this and really be engaged and become extremely innovative on their own. I'm going to go ahead and group that structure as well. And again, now it's one structure, I can move it around. But that's how you group and ungroup and how you can slowly build more complicated structures from very simple shapes. And so far, we've only used two shapes when we built a house. So the sky's the limit. Tinker away.